I've heard a lot of different stories, but if it's concerning the death of a loved one, I would say anger, I don't know, can start 2 weeks afterwards. And I've seen it. I'm angry at God. He had to have done this. I'm angry at them that they took their own life. I'm angry at this. This caused it. I see a lot of finger pointing, but I see a lot. God really takes the blunt end of it all the time. I see a lot of people blame God. I see them blame God when their child gets taken away from them because of abuse. It's God's fault. I prayed and He didn't fix it. I rubbed the genie lamp, called God, and He did not save me. As I look at some of the scriptures, I love this one. Pop them up if you can, Nick. One of my favorites is that God is going to wipe away all your tears. There should be no more death, nor sorrow, nor crying. There'll be no more pain, for the former things are passed away. Interesting that God recognizes that there are former things now that are going to pass away. But he says sorrow and pain and grief. He acknowledges those things are there. Go ahead, next one. The Lord is nigh unto them that are of a broken heart. I love that part. That's my line. That means He's close to them that are of a broken heart. If you've ever gone through a relationship that ended, that you did everything to repair and you could not repair it. You could not fix the person. God was real close during that moment, and you might not have known it. He brushed shoulders with you continually. He stood at your bedside. He wept over you. He sang over you. I'm thinking, wow. Go ahead, Nick. He heals the brokenhearted. He binds up their wounds. Keep going. Seeing the crowds, He went up on the mountain, and when He was seated, the disciples came to Him. And He opened His mouth, and He taught them, saying, Blessed, I'm going to go right on down. This is the Beatitudes, but blessed are they that mourn, for they shall be comforted. It's not right there, but it's in here. I'm like, really, God? Blessed are you that mourn. So let me give you a different interpretation of this. If I went up to Chris right now and I laid my hand on her and I said, Chris, I just bless you. And I asked God to bless you with prosperity and comfort and kindness. And I began to speak into her life. I want you to look at it as God saying, blessed are those that mourn. I'm going to lay my hand on them and bless them with comfort, for they will be comforted. So if you take it and you look at it in a different perspective, and you see that God is, that's the Amplified. You can turn that one off, Nick. I'm going to use just the New King James. God is my portion forever. When everything else fails, He's my portion. Now, in saying this, thanks for those, Nick. In saying this, I don't know very many people in our church that don't run to God. But I know a lot of people in the world that get very angry with God. Even though they have no relationship with Him, but they get very angry with Him when they go through something. He is literally the strength of my life. I can remember the lady, and I probably have told this before. Her child drowned. Her little girl, 4 years old, drowned in the pool. They did everything to save this child, and they couldn't. She came home from the hospital, and family started showing up at the house. They came in and they sat in the front room. Her aunts and uncles and parents and people started to fill the house. And she went back to her bedroom, and her husband came in. He said, honey, how can I help? She said, get rid of the people. Well, they're not going to leave. I cannot grieve properly if they are on my doorstep looking at me, judging my reaction, testing me to see if I'm responding correctly. He said, now they're talking about the fact. Remember years ago when I was depressed? Remember years ago when I thought life wasn't worth living? Now they're worried I'm going to commit suicide. So they're hounding me. They're in my kitchen. They follow me into the bathroom. I can't even walk out in the yard without somebody with me. And I got to grieve. But I got to do it my way. Is there any way you can get rid of them? He said, no. But I'll cover for you, and you sneak out the back door. And if you need a moment with God, you go take your moment and you find it. She goes like, phew, good. So I went to the front room. They're talking. All these people are filled in. The relatives are there. And she sneaks out the back door and runs into the cornfield. When she finally gets in the cornfield, she collapses on the ground and begins to weep. Why? Nobody's staring at her. Nobody's judging her heart. And she says, God, I know you loved her as much as I did. And this is not your fault, God. Most people will say, why? Why did you let her die? Instead, she's like, God, this was not your fault. She said, she felt a whoosh come on top of her. The presence of God dropped on her. And she said, a gift of grace, it's the only thing I can look at it, covered me. And it was this, as if all the grief sucked right out of me, like. And me and God talked for a while, and I was okay. I was okay. Okay to the point that people now were upset that she wasn't a mess. And she wasn't sobbing. And they said she's dealing with it too well. Now they're really worried. She said, no, God came. God came. And He gave me His grace. He gave me His grace.